40 days, it allows us to connect to community. And so usually I would have started off jumping right into doing the four direction, calling in the four direction as part of the ceremony. And so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to call in the four directions, and we're going to have a little opening circle to introduce ourselves to each other. And then we'll spend the rest of the time together, hitting up how to meditate, the intentions around the training, any questions, that sort of thing. Sound good? Okay. All right. Before I stand up, so this this little thing we're exploring is something called the four directions, and it is a way to create a sacred space for what we're doing here. So it's a long journey for like these next 40 days, and we're gonna need all the help we can get with some of the stuff we're working with, right? So like if we're doing yoga every day, we're trying to meditate, we're trying to eat healthy, we're trying to let go of sugar. It's just nice to have help from the community, but also just intention about what we're doing. And I think a lot of you have done the 40 days with me before. I recognize a lot of you from my workshops and trainings and that sort of thing. And so sorry, did I say the 40 days? The four directions. A lot of you have done the four directions with me before. The four directions is I'm going to stand and face toward a direction, and the direction has a certain kind of quality to it. And the four direction ceremony has been handed down through many different cultures for thousands of years. I actually learned it from my teacher, Anna Forrest, who has a Native American background. And I'm not Native American, so I kind of started doing some research, and it turns out that what I learned from her from the Native American background is actually very similar to the Celtic background and the Irish background. My grandfathers are actually from Ireland, so it's like, wow, this is wild. So some of you might be new and it might seem kind of weird, but I ask that you just kind of be open to it, because rituals have richness. These ways that we create space for us to evolve and grow are really important for us. And so I'm going to burn, I have an abalone shell here. And this abalone shell, my wife and I have been diving since we met. Her family have been diving for 3 generations for abalone. And so actually, I don't know if you guys have ever seen abalone. It sticks to the bottom of the rock on the ocean. We had to dive down about 12, 15 feet to get this thing, which is pretty awesome. And then there's, just amazing stuff to eat inside, like calamari. Yeah. No more calamari, by the way. We're not eating calamari during the 40 days. That's kind of a joke. Okay. So there's sage in here, there's Palo Santo, and there's sweetgrass. And so I will turn toward each direction and call on the quality of that direction to help support us. If you want to turn in that direction, you can. I say after I call in each direction, I actually say aho, which is short for Ahoma Tequiesen. And it is Ahoma Tequiesen is Native American, which means all my relations agree with you. Like I was raised Catholic, so you might say amen, or maybe there's another way, or hallelujah, or right on, Pete. That might be a way you can affirm it, or don't say anything at all if you don't want to. It's totally cool. Okay? Okay. Come into a comfortable seat, place. Actually, before you do this, just place one hand on your heart. If it feels all right to lean down and place your hand on the ground, and just take a moment and bow forward. And that we ask that I share this ritual in a good way. And we bow to our ancestors and elders that have held this space for this tradition, the 4 directions, but also the yoga that we'll be doing, the meditation has been handed down for thousands of years from different cultures. And so we bow that we ask that we do all these things in a good way. Aho. Okay. Bring the hands up to the heart. Placing the hands on the heart. And take a couple of deep filling breaths here. Powers of the East, grandparents of the East, we invite you here to join us and bring your powers of protection to this ceremony, this practice, to these next 40 days, to this community. We ask your help to keep out and filter out any negative, toxic, dulling energy. And we also ask your help to live this moment and every moment in a good way. East is this place of enlightenment, place of spring, dawn of wisdom, and it's a new spiritual beginning day that we seek within this community. East, hey, would you mind turning your sound off there, bud? East, we come here and request your support on our journey, right? That we have a chance of waking up, and many of us, especially over the last 6 months, have accumulated some really possibly bad habits, whether it be maybe overwatching, Netflix, or maybe it's drinking an extra glass of wine that might not be needed, or maybe it's overeating some food. Um, and I get it, right? We need to learn. We've learned how to manage these crazy times, our emotions, our anxiety, our depression, and maybe the not so healthy ways. So, East, we ask your help in waking up to those ways and begin to notice them, and help us to be able to um, notice not just the big ones, but also the more subtle ways we might not be handling things well. Like, maybe it's like just getting maybe pissy with our partner and just tracking that and maybe making some different choices as well. Aho, powers of the East. Facing south if you want. Powers of the South, we invite you here to join us and bring your powers of protection to this ceremony, to this community, to our next 40 days together. We invite you here to keep out any negative toxic energy. We also ask you to live this day in a good way. South is the place of innocence and trust, place of water and healing and compassion, of understanding and forgiveness. South, one of the things that we can stumble upon as we walk the path of our healing during these next 40 days with all the yoga and the meditation and the mindful eating and the cleanse, is that when we fall off our path, we might beat ourselves up. We might not have so much compassion for us. Like, we meant to meditate in the morning, we totally blanked on that. And we can go to self-mutilation, and self-mutilation for me is not like, it's just unkind words, just words we might do to tear ourselves down. Oh my God, I suck at this. I'm the worst meditator ever. Like that kind of languaging, or maybe we fall off our path of the cleanse. And this is part of the path as well. So South, we ask your help in cultivating a sense of kindness and compassion. South is also the place of trust, right? And having some trust in this path that we have, I'm here to support you on the path. The yoga practice is here to support you. And part of it is just really just showing up in the best way we possibly can. The other thing I wanted to mention is South is represented by water. And so when I think about water, it's like making sure we drink lots of water throughout the day to rehydrate our body. It's also about maybe we sweat quite a bit when we're practicing yoga. But water is also about tears, and recognizing that maybe some of us have had to put up some armoring over the past bunch of months to protect ourselves. But if at all possible, allowing there to be space to feel all the feels. There's a beautiful quote from Deanna Metzger that I often think about when I think of South and innocence and healing. It goes like this: give me everything, mangled and bruised, and I will make a light of it to make you weep, and we will have rain and begin again. Aho, powers of the South. Right, facing west. Powers of the West, we invite you here to join us and bring your powers of protection to this ceremony, our community, this journey of the next 40 days. We ask your help to keep out and filter out any negative, toxic, dulling energy. And we also ask your help to live this moment and every moment in a good way. West is the place of death and natural endings. It's the place where we begin to understand about the natural rhythms of life, right? We understand that things die, that we get old, we get sick, we get hurt, right? This is part of the way it is about being human, right? This, and I think just to be, just to notice that impermanence is being shared with us in a big way by the universe, right? So West is a place of looking inside as well, right? When it got dark, the sun setting is about, you know, um, the day ending, but it's also about this time when people would go inside and reflect on the day. So it's considered the looks within place. West, we ask your help in letting go of the things that aren't serving us. Like if we think about like East being the place of what we want to bring in for our new day, what we want to bring into our world, it's important for us to recognize that we cannot necessarily become who we're meant to be for so focused on an old way of being. So Wes, we ask your help in letting go of those habits and those ways of being, our conditioning, our stories that aren't serving us anymore. And we ask your help in learning how to let those go. Aho, powers of the West. And then facing north, if you want. Powers of the North. We invite you here to join us to bring your powers of protection to this ceremony, this journey, our healing, this community. We ask your help to keep out and filter out any negative, toxic, dulling energy. And we also ask your help to live this moment and every moment in a good way. North is the place of our elders and our ancestors and the wise ones, and there's a reason for that. North is a place of the challenges that are placed upon our path. And so from a Native American perspective and from a yoga perspective and a Buddhist perspective is this understanding that it's all medicine. Everything that happens to us is an opportunity for growth and understanding. And so, and when we do that, we become wise from those experiences and we grow from those experiences. So North, we invite you here to understand in a really deep, profound way that all the challenges that are placed on during these next 40 days are really an amazing opportunity for evolution. And so, for example, you might get an injury on this path over the next 40 days. Like, how do you learn how to work with an injury? Do you try to start cultivating compassion? Do you try to do something different? Do you reach out to me for help? Or do you just kind of struggle through it? Or maybe you start to track that when you stop eating your foods that you use for emotional management, that there is an opportunity for you to understand and move through anxiety. And rather than ignoring it, you use it as a tool to work through it. Also, North is a place where we connect into the reality that we don't have to suffer alone, that we have a community here that's to support us. And so North, we invite you here and ask your help in working together to move through our struggle. Aho, powers of the North. And just finishing up, and for all the beauty that is in the skies, for the beauty that surrounds us, for the beauty that's below us, for the beauty that's behind us. May we see that beauty inside of us and around us every day and thus walk all of our days in beauty. Aho. Okay. Welcome everybody. I thought we might just get a chance to spend about a half an hour actually going around the circle and introducing ourselves. And there's actually not a circle. So I'm actually going to have you, I'll call your name out. And then, so if you want to just write this down in your notepad next to you, it's pretty much your name. Yeah, I should put this up so you can see it. Your name and how did you start practicing yoga, and what brought you here to this experience, and what are you hoping to gain out of this experience? So your name, how do you start practicing yoga, and what brought you here? Okay. Let me stop this. And then why don't we just start going through, and I'll go just alphabetical. So Anne, that puts you up top there. Isn't that great, Anne? Yeah. Yes, you, Anne. Why don't you unmute yourself and I'll pin you to the, actually, I think when you start speaking, you should be brought up to the front center.
My name is Anne, and I started practicing yoga soon after my daughter was born. I felt like once she was here and my body got kind of pushed all out of shape and went through the ringer, and I don't know. And then having children and then trying to work at the same time, I think I was just really frazzled. So I started going to a community yoga class and with Maura Singer, and absolutely loved it. And then went from there to taking more formalized classes. So, and it just felt like it grounded me. In terms of what brought me here, I think I know that I've been really checking out in really negative ways. Eating and drinking and just stuff that's not good. So I wanted to try to deal with that.
And I'm so right there with you. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this 40 days. So thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Brian, why don't you go ahead and share then, please?
Sure. I'm Brian. Nice to meet everybody through this virtual environment. I started practicing yoga in, I guess, the mid 2000s, just really for a quest of spiritual enlightenment. I just felt like as if at that point in my life, I was looking for fulfillment on the outside and definitely wasn't feeling fulfilled. And so that really brought me to a spiritual quest, and I started to explore yoga classes at that time and just, just fell in love with it. As for what brought me to this class, I think it's really important to be a part of a community that can support you on your spiritual path. I think Pete does a just incredible job at cultivating that type of community. And I think it's also just important just to review the basics, be it asana, pranayama, meditation, and the spiritual study, because God knows I keep on forgetting it, and this type of structure really helps me.
Welcome, Brian. Thank you so much for being here. Caitlin Vartain. Hi, Caitlin. Would you mind taking yourself off mute?
Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin. I started yoga probably 10 years ago just for exercise, and the breathing has always helped me. Why I came is similar to everyone else. I love Pete, and also have been imbibing a little bit and eating less mindfully than I would like. And some people save this kind of work till the new year, but I don't want to wait till then. So yeah.
Cool, Caitlin. Thank you so much. Caroline Damon, please share. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi all, I'm Caroline. I started yoga, I think, just to get some movement and exercise, and then really fell in love with a lot of teachers, and just loved sort of the learning and the constant practice and growth of it. Here now, because I've been feeling very disconnected, it's hard to sort of replicate, you know, the in-person yoga experience at home, and just hoping to try to get some more connection.
Thank you, Caroline. Clayton, would you mind sharing your name and thoughts?
Hi, I'm Clayton. Geez, I'm a little embarrassed to say it, but I started doing yoga because I met a cute girl, and she she dragged me all the way to India. I got to meet Patabi Joyce in Mysore, and I wasn't good enough to do yoga with him, so I got to go down to the street to this guy named Shishadri, who was awesome. He was like really roots. And I kind of stopped doing it because I got an injury and I can't bend this wrist too much anymore. But I'm trying because I found that it's like a whole complete package. And why I'm here is, I mean, as probably most of you guys are feeling, this has been a struggle. And I need a little bit of a North Star right now to get me back on track. Community, just seeing all your faces, it feels good. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Clayton. Okay, Colette, please share. Hi, Colette.
Hi, Pete. I'm Colette. I think I've always had a positive response, and something has drawn me to yoga-like movements. I was a child of the 70s, and for those of you who grew up on the Northeast, there was a public television show, a woman named Maggie, who I used to watch faithfully after my kids' programming, and that was my my introduction into yoga-like movement. I did it where I could. It wasn't mainstream at all, as you all know, for many, many years, until maybe 20 years ago. What brought me to it regularly was a back injury, and it's made all the difference for me physically, but the benefits go beyond that. I have to do yoga for me physically, but emotionally, spiritually, it's necessary for me. I'm doing this because COVID has kicked my ass. This remote work life is, I'm grateful I still have a job, but the lack of movement in my regular life, it's taken a huge toll on me physically, emotionally, spiritually. I've been drinking too much wine. I've been struggling with my anxiety about the ever-evolving crises that keep happening. And I want a place of community and a place to connect. So it's why I'm here.
Thank you, Colette. Welcome. Danielle. Danielle. Please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Danielle. I came to yoga. So yoga and I have had a 15-year on again, off again relationship. We are currently on again, hopefully for good this time. And what brought me here actually was a recommendation of my good friend, Kimberly, who is also on the class tonight. Why I'm here in a less literal sense is anytime I'm seeking something, right? Like I feel like yoga always draws me back in every time I'm looking for truths within myself, because yoga is this tool that lets me access my inner wisdom and my connection to a higher power. So I'm here to tap into that. So thanks, and I look forward to meeting all of you.
Thank you very much, Danielle. Ellie, would you mind sharing? Ellie Phipps Price. Sorry, Ellie Phipps Price. There's two Ellies.
Hi, I'm Ellie, and nice to meet you, Pete. So let's see. I started doing yoga probably 30 years ago, and I've just been an on and off person, but more and more over the last 10, 15 years, I've really sought it out. But I started doing it to a place, something to work, to work out. But then I found all these other benefits, and then I went on some retreats, and then I was like, oh, this is more than just a workout. But I really miss, classes and the structure of classes and being, with other people doing yoga. I haven't done very well doing it on my own. I've totally flunked out on that. So anyway, I just thought bringing a little structure into it might get me back in the flow. And then what brought me here is my friend, my really good friend, Gail Olson, who I hope she's here. I think she's here. So anyway, Gail and I have been doing a little bit of yoga together, and she's a gift. And I so appreciate her introducing me to you. I think I need some structure because I am very indulgent and have just been coping with COVID by giving myself every, whatever I want to do, I can do, because I'm dealing with COVID, which usually means too much wine, which I really need to get under control. And I've gained 8 pounds, which makes me crazy. And so anyways, I sound really vain, but really it's just, I want to be a good person. I want to be happy. And I'm not on a good path right now. So I need a little structure. So really want to make some kind of commitment that I can keep. And I just have to say, I've totally been so charmed by everybody's so lovely and honest and everything. Such a nice community of people. So nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ellie. Ellie, Slor, good seeing you, Ellie. Come on in.
Hi. Why I started practicing yoga, as I shared with Brian a few minutes ago, I started practicing yoga because it was 90 minutes quiet space for myself. And I stayed for all the obvious reasons. I'm here because I missed Pete, and I saw Yoga Tree was closing, and I was so sad. And then this popped up on my Facebook feed. So I don't know, sometimes just hit the spot. And the wine, the food, the blah, blah, blah. That's it.
Thank you, Ellie. So good to see your face. It's been forever. Gail Olson, so good to have you on here too. Please come on up. You're the next contestant.
All right. Hey, Pete. Hey, Ellie. Hey. Yeah, it was just the right moment, Pete, when I saw your, I never go on Facebook, and I went on Facebook for the first time in forever, and up pops your thing. And I had just been lying in bed going, oh my God, I need to do something to, yeah, like Ellie, drink less wine. We live in wine country, and wine is the thing, really the thing. So anyway, I'm here to just clean up my act a little bit. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I don't feel so committed about the wine thing, but I have some wishful thinking. So I'm going to see how it goes. And by the way, I loved how you started. I've always kind of had the intention to start my days with the 4 directions. And it rarely ever manifested. So thank you. That was really nice.
Cool. Yeah, if you want me to share information with you, I'd be more than happy to.
Thank you. See you.
Good to see you. Okay, Jana Bray, you're up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jana. Let's see, I started practicing maybe 10 years ago. I was living in Ann Arbor, Michigan in grad school, and it was cold, and I was lonely, and just only started. And then I took a very long break, maybe like 7 years, and I got back into it maybe 3 years ago, and very happy I did. And then right before COVID hit, I finished teacher training with Pete with some other folks. And then just basically my yoga fell off a cliff. It went from like almost doing handstands on the wall to just like sitting on the couch. So trying to get back into it. I've started and stopped a lot since then. So hopefully this will be the beginning of kind of going back to it more full time. Yeah, and I've also been eating my feelings like it's my job, so that needs to be put in check. So yeah, good to meet you all and very glad to be here.
Cool. Welcome, Jana. Eating your feelings. I like that. Like nobody's business. Jenny Carmendi, would you mind coming on up and sharing?
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny, formerly known as Jen Wood.
Hi, Jen.
I started yoga with Pete on his Halloween class. He was wearing a giant afro wig, and it was because I got a Groupon for flying yoga, and it completely changed my life. I was in a emotional place where in a lot of ways I think yoga really saved me, and I did Pete's very first teacher training, and when I graduated college in 2014, I moved up to Oregon. So I live in a small rural town, not too many opportunities for yoga, and I've just been missing Pete's classes, and I've been on his mailing list these last 6 years, and finally something has come up that I'm able to do. So I'm just really excited to kind of do something with an awesome group of people and get a little centered and a little grounded and kind of establish a practice again.
Jenny, so nice to see you. Carmendi, wow. Josie, by the way, Jenny, I look forward to connecting with you about that stuff more. Josie, would you mind sharing your thoughts?
Sure. Hi, I'm Josie. I've been doing yoga for almost 30 years. I started in college because my mom recommended it, and I've been on and off of yoga ever since. I usually stick with it a lot when I have found a great teacher that when I'm doing yoga, I feel strong both in my body and my mind. And when I have a really good teacher that I can stick with for a few years that's wise and makes me reflect on things that I need to be reflecting on when I'm in a yoga class, then everything about my life feels better. So now I am doing this because life feels chaotic and difficult, and doing yoga regularly helps me, and I haven't meditated regularly in a couple of years, but when I have been able to do that, it also is really grounding, and I feel more calm and more peaceful, and I need calmness and peace in my life because there's none of that right now. And like the first Ellie said, everything feels so difficult that I just allow myself to eat and drink whatever I want whenever I want to do it because I feel like I should, but it doesn't actually make me feel that great. So I want to get that in check because I'm not feeling as good as I would like to in my body and my soul right now. So I think this is going to help.
You, Josie, welcome. Kimberly, Charles.
Hi, everybody. Great to see some familiar faces and some new ones. I started yoga when I was 30 as well, and it's quite some time ago. I realize now, for those of you into astrology, that was right at my Saturn return, so it was time to do something different. I think I was first drawn to yoga for its spiritual mysticism, and the physical exercise was the added bonus. So, I've been kind of flitting around the edges of it for years, and then due to Mary Burnham, who's in this group, hi Mary, I learned about Pete's teachings and attended several of his New Year's retreats, and then went to the teacher training class, which ended in March. And I've been really committed to yoga since that time. However, and it's really been a tonic, but I can say that for me, a lot of the meditation element of this, it is, kind of the counterpart to the body work and integrated with it too. Yoga's been my moving meditation. I need to do an additional level of it. I'm taking care of an elder parent. I'm in the wine industry, which is gravely affected by the fires. I'm freaked out by the election. And my normal calm demeanor that can handle a lot of chaos is now starting to fray a lot at the edges. And I have a lot of like anger and a lot of like, I just wake up every day, much like I'm sure most of us, just like, shit, another day. So I'm just really looking forward to this commitment to myself, this treat to myself, and Pete's teaching style is just a gift. So thank you, Pete, for all you do.
Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate that. I think we're at Nick and Laurel. Are you guys available to share, or are you managing the kids over there?
Watch your mouth, Pete. I manage my kids just fine, thank you. Hi, I'm Laurel. This is Nick. We're in this together. I started yoga in college, and I continue to do it every now and then. I am far more into, I cycle and I lift weights, but yoga, my hips are starting to bother me at my age of 39. I'm like, shit, I gotta do more Pete yoga. But to be quite honest, the reason why I'm really here is because of so many things that all of you have shared. I'm just drinking like it's water, and that's just the beginning. And kind of realizing like, maybe these toxins are toxic to so many parts of my life. And I have to be honest, I'm frightened as fuck to do this. I don't know. And I keep talking to Pete. We're neighbors. We see each other all the time. I'm like, what are we doing, Pete? Like, what is this? Wait, 40 days starts. And then so what do I do on Monday? And Nick is like, it's a journey. And Pete's like, it's a journey. And I'm like, I just need to know what that journey is. Because that's me. I need a beginning and a middle and an end. And so this is going to be the journey. And I appreciate hearing about all of your stories, because I got you. Because it helps having other people justify the fact that we're all totally blottoed right now and just trying to find the right path. So thank you. Thank you. I know what I said. That's my child. You are Nick.
Nick, go ahead and share, please.
Oh, is it me? Okay. So I started yoga, I guess, similar to Clayton, a cute girl that I knew was doing yoga or lived with in college. And I was like, oh, I'll do yoga too. And then I think I've always found like some sort of meditation in playing basketball. And that's hasn't been happening these days during COVID. I used to play once or twice a week, and I don't have that release. And I find myself using alcohol far more as like a stimulant for my serotonin. And I feel like it's actually not like a true happiness or a joy that you get out of that. And I'm trying to go down this path in a way that actually stimulates true serotonin and like real happiness, not stimulate happiness. And that's part of what I'm searching for in this journey, and part of the intention that I'm putting behind this path that we're going down here.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Laurel. Welcome.
Thank you. Love you, Pete.
Yeah, I love you too. Nick and Laura are in my wife and I's quarantine. We call each other quaranteens, so we get to see them pretty much every day. They have two daughters that Quinn plays with, so we've been drinking too much wine together. Pretty much is what it comes down to. So, Lori, would you mind sharing?
Sure. My name's Lori Tannehill, and I've been practicing yoga for, I think, about 20 years. And I first started practicing yoga because I think really for an exercise practice that I could do with my knees. I started having more and more knee problems, and I couldn't run anymore, and there were things that I couldn't do, but I could do yoga, and what I found is that my knees were much better when I did yoga. My arthritis. So that was, I think, why I originally started. And then I got into the spiritual side of the practice, and I started practicing with Pete, I guess originally at Namaste, I think. Not sure how long ago that was, Pete, but it was a long time ago. And I've been doing yoga fairly regularly since then with Ann Bankston, who's also in this 40-day practice. And we do it together and support each other through it. But why am I here now? I think a few different reasons, but like a lot of folks said, between COVID and the state of the world, the state of politics in our country, the state of racial justice in our country, it all has kind of really taken its toll on me. And I've been self-medicating with wine, as other people have been mentioning. A while ago, I had a family crisis, and I went off of the wine for a month, actually, and found that I really did feel better, and I really was more present for my family and for myself. And then I've introduced it back in, but maybe a little bit healthier level. But I want to kind of continue on that path, and I also really want to establish a meditation practice, and I just haven't been able to do that on my own. So I'm hoping that with the 40 days, I'll really kind of double down on the meditation practice, in addition to giving up some bad habits where I'm self-medicating and just zoning out, so that I don't have to deal with the anxiety of the way the world is right now. That's me.
Welcome, Lori. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you.
Yeah. Mary, would you mind sharing?
Hi guys, I'm Mary. It's so nice to just hear everybody's stories, and yeah, thanks for. I feel like all these things people are saying, I'm just like, yeah, me too, exactly. But how I got into yoga, I got into yoga like on a very casual basis when I lived in New York in the late 90s, and just kind of viewed it as a workout. And it wasn't really till I moved to San Francisco and lived right around the corner from Yoga Tree Stanyon, where Pete was teaching, and got super into Pete's classes and a couple of the other teachers there, and yeah, just really discovered like the whole other side of yoga that's just been a huge part of my life, and just kind of grounding me and spiritually. And I think for me, like, you know, my world got so small, as I think most people's did this year. And you know, my office until like at least super social, and otherwise leaving community and people, and I miss yoga class so much. And also like the idea of just, you know, just kind of like looking at habit too much sometimes, and really want to also get back to establishing a meditation practice. So super excited about that.
Cool. Welcome, Mary. Thanks for being here. Maya, or is that Tamara? Maya Gallagher? Looks like she actually fell off. Oh, there she is. Maya, we can't hear you. Can you guys hear her? No. That's weird. All right, we'll come back to you, Tamara. Okay? Cool. Let's see who's next. Marion.
Hey there, this is Marion. I've been practicing for about 20 years since high school and used yoga then as sort of grounding through transitions, and have done it sort of on and off in different ways throughout the years. I'm here because obviously the last 6 months have been hard. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old and a full-time job and, you know, all the different complications of life. And I feel like the last 6 months feels like one emergency after another and like emergency response. So the opportunity to actually be intentional about 40 days feels like a really big lift. Like I hope I can make the time, but I want like more intention rather than like emergency response in my life. So the part that I can control or like have some influence over, I'm trying to take it. And I have a great husband who's letting me be here right now. So huge.
Cool. Thank you, Marion, for sharing. Welcome. Naomi?
Hi, my name is Naomi, and it's good to be here. Can you guys hear me? Cool. Let's see. I started doing yoga in the 90s in college at San Francisco State, and I enjoyed the benefits. And I've had an off and on relationship with yoga, like many of you. And it's been really off since the pandemic. So, yeah, I guess I've done this 40-day thing with Pete before. I think the last time it was like 5 years ago. It was a while ago. And I talked to Pete like, I don't know, like a couple of months ago. I was like, hey man, this is people need support. Like we need to talk. We need the community. And I don't have a job and I don't have any kids and I don't really have, I don't have any social scene. I'm super isolated. I don't do well with a solo at-home practice. It's something I need the classes. I need the other people. Like, otherwise I just like get distracted and just run off and go do something else. I've been totally isolated and stuck in the house and not moving, and that is having a huge impact on my body. And so now I'm just like in a lot of pain, and I'm having like knee pain and hip pain and foot pain and emotional pains and all the pains. And just want to try and like just take care of my body. Like, this shit feels awful. I feel like, you know, the last thing we needed to be doing was getting shut into the house and like gaining a bunch of weight and getting all fat and bloated and slow and not prepared. You know, I just don't feel like I'm prepared for whatever the fuck it is that's happening, whatever's about to go down. I'm not ready for it. So I just want to be a little calmer, but also be able to, like, you know, walk the block without gasping for air. So that's why I'm here.
Welcome, Naomi. And I feel you on that, walking the block and gasping for air. Lizzie, would you mind sharing? Or also known as
Hi.
Nat Bay Area.
I'm logged into my company's Zoom account and can't change my name, but my name is Lizzie, Lizzy. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm happy to be here under my alter ego, Naturally Bay Area. I'll remember to sign into my personal Zoom account next time. But I've been practicing yoga, let's see, like kind of as soon as I got my license, I think, so I could drive myself to classes. I'm 26, so it's been about 10 years or so, and my mom was certified as a yoga teacher through Pete a while back, so yoga is a pretty big part of my life, and it's been a really regular part of my life for about a decade. in addition to other forms of movement, but yoga is definitely something I come back to quite regularly. And like many of you, have been really missing the regular classes in person, sweaty, and like really challenging yourself in a way that I just find myself not able to do during online classes that I've been keeping up with during COVID. So I would say, yeah, I resonated with a lot of what people have shared, but I definitely feel a strong sense of wanting to take back some control, and also just, I've never really done a consecutive challenge. Like I've never run a half marathon. I've never done one of those challenges that really requires a certain level of focus. So I'm hoping to see if I can make that happen. Yeah, excited to be here and connect with you all.
Welcome, Lizzie. Okay. Paula, I can never pronounce that name. Paula? Please help me.
Yes, it's Paula.
Paula. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paula, and I've been practicing for, since the late 90s. Pete was one of my teachers, but I discovered it at San Francisco State as well. And it was kind of at the rise of all these Bay Area superstars with Rusty and Janet and Stephanie. And so it was kind of spirituality meets physical, and it just absolutely captured my heart. And it's been years since I've practiced regularly, so I'm excited to be here and kind of bring it back in my life. I'm more of a swimmer and a dancer, but this will be a good combo. And Kimberly brought me here, so thank you, Kimberly. And I'm also an acupuncturist, and I will be hosting a cleanse at my clinic. And I thought that this would be a good way for me to kind of incorporate the meditation aspect and also mindfulness with eating, because although I've been taking really good care of myself because I've been taking care of other people, I feel like my sweet tooth has really taken over. And I want to learn more about that so I can kind of eliminate it once and for all. So I'm excited to be here and spend the time with you guys.
Welcome. Happy to have you. Okay, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. I am Sarah, and I found yoga because I stumbled into a vinyasa yoga class with Pete in San Francisco, probably about 10 or 11 years ago. And it kicked my ass, and I was like, whoa, what just happened to me? And then I was addicted ever since then. And I was just, just completely addicted to it. And I found such a spiritual aspect of it as well, not just a workout, which originally is what I thought yoga was about. And it's really helped me along these past 10 years. And I'm here because I'm completely lost. I think between having a 23-month-old baby and working from home and such a huge change with COVID, and just kind of feeling like I don't really have a strong community. Just so many other people have been saying similar things, but I'm just feeling very lost. So I'm hoping that maybe giving myself some kind of set intentions and really letting myself take time to focus on myself might help just bring some clarity to my life right now. So that's why I'm here. And I'm excited to hear everybody's stories because they're really inspirational, and I appreciate Pete putting everybody together.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Shauna.
Hi, everybody. I'm Shauna Lesh, and I started yoga in 2000 at It's Yoga. I wear like custom orthotics in my shoes, and so there's a lot of exercise that I can't do. So I started yoga as an exercise, and like everybody else, fell in love with it. I've been really good about my yoga practice pretty much even throughout COVID. But now that the studio is no longer going to be open, I am at the beginning of creating a home practice. And what I'm hoping to get out of this is to be able to really solidify my meditation. It's something I've always struggled with. At this point in time, I'll be 45 in a couple months. And I think the gravity of that number is really hitting me. I'm not really where I want to be in terms of my career. I haven't found romantic love in my life. And I know that my internal dialogue is holding me back from that in a lot of ways. I've been pretty good about alcohol consumption. I'm just not craving that as much. And the times that I do, I quickly realize like, oh yeah, it's not really what I was going for. But I've been a long time cannabis user way before it was legal. And very much in terms of, I've always been sort of that part of that seeker kind of crowd recreationally, but I've also used it very knowingly in escaping. And so I'm really hoping that the meditation will allow me to just speak more kindly to myself, to be able to really increase my vibe and be able to bring to me really what I'm looking for. And Pete's my favorite teacher. I feel like I practiced with so many other teachers where part of it spoke to me, but not all of it. And so I found Pete 4 years ago, actually through a girlfriend who did the 40 days and told me to check him out. So it's so happy to be here.
About that. Well, welcome, Sean. I lost you guys there for a moment. Thanks for being here, Shauna. And Shiloh.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. So I have been practicing yoga on and off for years, and mostly sort of as a social thing, just with friends and as a form of exercise and meditation. And I would really like to be able to do this on my own. So I created a space in my house, and it's really beautiful. And all I do is actually just watch videos about doing yoga. So I need some peer pressure, some shame, whatever it is that's going to get me to actually do this for my mind and my body. I mean, it's really bad. I've made videos of this to tell my friends, like, look, I decorated, and they're like, okay, but you actually have to do the exercises. So I get it. I want to start doing it. That's one of the things that brought me here. My friend Tamara Gallagher, who's has her alias Maya here, she sent me the link about this class, and so I was really excited. I like that it's progressive, and we're going to be doing this for an extended period of time. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to do all the bad stuff, and then Monday I'm going to start to be good. I like the idea of sort of gradually working into it. So, and yeah, I hope to gain a little bit more discipline in like plugging out of work stuff. I no longer have to commute to work. I'm not on public transportation, I'm not driving. Like, I'm not wasting that time, but I'm wasting that time in other ways. So I'd really like to just really take this opportunity to think about myself and the things that I need to be able to deal with living during this really weird time in our lives. So that is it. That's
Cool.
me.
Welcome, Shiloh. I appreciate it. Tamara Maya Gallagher Farmer. Did you want to try to see if we can do that again? Hi. It's still not working, Tamara. All right. Well, I'll say something about Tamara. She has a daughter, I think, named Maya. Who's awesome. And Tamara takes my class at Yoga G Telegraph. And we're happy you're here, Tamara. Thank you. Sorry we can't hear you. Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Pete, and I actually created this workshop. I think, it's probably been about 10 years ago, at least, that I created this workshop, maybe like 2008, maybe even 12 years ago. And I taught it for many, many years, up until about 2015, 2016. And I got so busy with my teacher training and all my teacher trainings and all the retreats that I didn't really have much time to do it. Plus, for some reason, Stephanie likes to spend time with me on weekends. And this took up a lot of my weekends, took up 7 weekends. So I let it go, but then I thought when we hit this pandemic and just things are so much up in the air that we really needed to have some type of, I'll be clear, this is as much for you as it is for me. I've been struggling with overeating and drinking too much and all the things. And I think, Sarah, what Sarah mentioned, Sarah has a 23-month at home and Quinn turns 2 on November 5th, right around the same time Sarah's little one turns 2. And I can tell you that I really definitely feel like I've kind of in some ways lost my body because I'm just so focused on caretaking for Quinn, and I don't have enough time to caretake myself. And in some ways, by the way, the pandemic was really good for me because I was able to practice yoga when I'm teaching every day. That was actually a good thing. But I am really, really happy, relieved to be doing this with you. I'll be doing everything with you and practicing yoga, meditating, and so you're as much as a support system for me as I am for you. So thank you for being here. Really, that means a lot. Okay. We have about 40 minutes left, and I wanted to just hit up some things real quickly. If you want to take a moment here to run out to use the bathroom or to stand up, you can, but just know I just want to get through this so that we can get you out on time. I'm usually pretty much a stickler for time and good about taking care of it. So let's just jump right in to this program. This is a program that is designed to walk the path of our healing. And to be able to do that, we do need a confidential and safe space to be able to do that. So we all come here and just in a really kind of profound way, we all come to yoga for some type of healing. I came to healing for tight hamstrings. Laurel mentioned she has tight hips. And so it provides an opportunity for us to walk our path of our healing. We're getting reconnected to spirit. Some of you use yoga now to manage your emotional body. But it's all, one of the main reasons why we're working through is our suffering. So it's hard for us to walk the path of our healing if we don't feel like we're in a safe space. So know that this is everything I shared here, I like to keep confidential, and not to say that you might not go back and have a conversation with your partner about what happened, but I prefer that you keep names out of the discussion because people can be vulnerable during these meetings that we have, okay? The other great thing about this is that, as Shado mentioned, I think what Shado mentioned is that it's a building up of doing things, but it's also in some ways, you're committed to doing this yoga frequently, preferably 6 days a week, and meditating and walking the path of mindful eating and doing a cleanse. So it's almost like you have freedom from decision. And so it's just like, should I practice yoga today? Yes. Should I meditate today? Yes. you should do it. And we'll talk about how that's being supported through my classes. But yes, do whatever you can to get on the mat, at least for some time. I'd like you to just keep remembering to go easy on yourself. The path is not always straight, and mistakes need not be fatal, right? We are doing something radical here. As the Buddha says, we are swimming against the stream of our thoughts, of our conditioning, of our managing our anxiety and depression. So you're on the path no matter what you're doing, and be compassionate. And I'd like you to also just kind of be open to like different experiences. If many of you have not practiced yoga for 40 days straight, and if you have, you'll note that there are a lot of different experiences that come up. Like, sometimes I'll have flashbacks to when I was bullied when I'm practicing yoga, or sometimes tears will start to come up when I'm kind of like thinking about some of the struggle I had with my dad. It starts coming up with a pose I'm in. So there's an old saying by a Zen teacher, Suzuki Roshi says, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert mind, there are few. And so if you're practicing yoga, being open to whatever arises in that moment and allow it to be part of the experience rather than shutting down around it. Some stuff may come up and you may want to run away, but be courageous to work through stuff rather than running away. That's a big thing for me for eating, by the way. If I start feeling emotions come up, it's like I immediately turn toward the tortilla chips or whatever. And there's others ways to ground, and we'll talk about that throughout this experience. We are creating a community here, and it helps if you show up. I'm hoping to have the icebreaker thing, and I apologize for those of you that were struggling to get it working, but the icebreaker thing at least a lot of times throughout this experience, because it's going to be good to help create community in a social distancing way. And so showing up is important. And showing up on time is important as well, so that I can get things moving in a timely fashion, because we got a lot of stuff to get through. Okay, this is kind of like what we're doing with the weeks, and I wanted to review this with you. This first week, the main theme is becoming more present, and the second week is called vitality or mindfulness or being right here and right now. This week 2, I'm going to ask you to actually pick a vice to give up. So a vice could be, giving up. Like for me, I'm probably gonna give up Facebook because it's been too toxic in my life. And so yeah, thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. Others of you might intentionally give up. We're gonna give up alcohol in week 4, but maybe that's what you want to go for, or maybe or cutting back on how much you're smoking marijuana or something like that. But pick something that you want to get rid of in week 2 and begin that journey. Week 3 is actually giving up processed sugar. I think if you want to eat like an apple or an orange, that's different, or maybe put honey and stuff, but processed sugar, equanimity, that's a theme. And we'll hit up about giving up sugar. Week 4 is actually a cleanse. And the cleanse, we'll review that, but generally speaking, I'm requesting that you eat really, really healthy and get rid of the 7 deadly toxic things you can eat, like fried foods, coffee, alcohol. Again, sugar will be out of that. Those gluten, those type of things we'll be getting rid of for week 4. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can do like a 3-day fast if you want, which is probably what I'll do. But I'm suggesting you do a 3 to 5 day, really eat really super healthy, or longer if you want. And then week 5 is coming back to center, and it's important when we come off a cleanse, we start to pay attention to what works for our body and what doesn't, and that's important. Week 6 is actually a rebirth moment. And then week 7 is actually the last time we're together. It's more of like a loving kindness meditation. The training pretty much will have moments for meditation and journaling and process work. if I have time, I will teach some yoga. But this workshop used to be 3 hours, and I actually whittled it down to 2 to be able to make sure you can show up. I can't imagine you sitting here for 3 hours in a Zoom call. So I did whittle it down to 2 from 4 to 6 on a Sunday. And I made it by the way, I made it a Sunday night because I'm busy during the week, and I have I have my training actually on the weekends. So just so you know, that's why I made it on Sunday from 4 to 6. So I will try to get some yoga, but I might not be able to. Most likely won't be able to get to it. But meditation and that sort of thing will be hit up in and pranayama and some journaling work and process work and community connections. Okay. Any questions about that before I go on to the next slide here? Any questions? Okay.
I had a question, Pete.
Yeah.
I saw that there was a Facebook group and you just mentioned going on Facebook. I don't have Facebook. Is there going to be information in that that's like you can't get elsewhere?
It's so well done, by the way, not being on Facebook. I'm really super proud of you. Yeah, and it's funny because I've been torn about Facebook for probably at least a year now. And but yeah, so I don't know how else to get information to you. I mean, everything I've shared with you is good, but like for example, like on week 4, there might be a place where where people share recipe ideas, or maybe they'll be sharing about different cleanses that people are doing, or some a place to get where they like to get their turmeric and what kind of turmeric they like to get. So I don't plan on having anything outside of that because this is the platform. We could maybe ask someone to share that information with you. Let's see, I'm not on Facebook at all. Naomi's not on Facebook at all. We'll try to figure out we'll try to brainstorm and see how we can get you some information. How's that sound? I'm not sure how else to do it, but we'll check in about that. How's that sound for Naomi and Caroline, the others of you that aren't on Facebook? Yeah, maybe us, Facebook or non-Facebookers have an email chain. Let's talk about that. And then why don't you shoot me an email, by the way, if you're not on Facebook, so I can have a conversation around that. Okay? All right. Anything else? Okay. Next slide is just be a moment. And let me talk to you about this for a moment. There have been times in your life when you have been just completely present. My most recent one was, well, I can tell you there's more recent than that, but like when Quinn is hugging me, it is like the sweetest thing ever. And I stop and I breathe that shit in, you would not believe, right? My wife and I did an adventure through, another example is when Quinn was born. That was a total just being moment. I just remember being like, holy shit, just like wrapped up in that moment. My wife and I did a trip through Canyonlands, and there was this crazy meteorological thing. Looked like there was like 7 rainbows off in the distance. I don't even know how to describe it. And it was just like, wow, what the hell is that? I just remember being super present like that. And so I'd like us to take a moment and feel into that. So close the eyes and then place your hands maybe on your heart or on your lap, and just sit upright for a moment. And feel into a moment when you were just being. And take notice of the story like that is around that, but pay particular attention to kind of how that quality of the just being moment, how it made you feel. Yeah, the sweetness of Quinn's hug, the connection to nature in that moment in Canyonlands, the the connection to my wife when we had Quinn. Right, these just being moments. Feel that for yourself. A couple more breaths. All right. And come back to the Zoom call. And normally I would ask someone to give an example of their just being moment. In fact, why don't we just give one example? Anybody want to share what their just being moment was that they brought up in their mind? Bueller, anyone? Something voodoo economics?
Okay, fine, I'll go. um, so this might sound super, super silly, but the first thing that popped into my head was like at the end of May, and I hadn't like seen or touched a human being, it felt like, in months and months and months, and I was so lonely. And I went for a walk, and I live in Sausalito, and there was like this big tree up on this like dark street. All of a sudden I was in nature, and I just was like surrounded by nature, and I felt so I felt the presence of nature because I'd really been lacking it. And I actually hugged a tree that was right by the sidewalk. I was just so happy this tree. And like, I know that this may sound whatever, ridiculous, but I hugged the tree, and I hadn't hugged anybody in so long. And I just hugged the tree, and I felt so much better. And my mind instantly went to that moment of just being like, I was like so present with it. I didn't even care. It was like, I felt so much more grounded. I felt less alone. I felt, I don't know, like, yeah, that was my just being moment.
Mary, that is an awesome moment. Remember, we're the Bay Area. We're tree huggers all here, so it's all good. You're in a safe place. Thank you for sharing, Mary.
Thank you.
I wish I had more time for your others, but I'm gonna move on. So this just be moment is actually touching enlightenment. And we have these available to us. We also have a practice that can support us with this. So here's some journal questions for you. I'd like you to grab your journal, and I'd like you to answer these questions. And I'll give you about 10 minutes to answer these questions. You can look at the screen here. And so it's pretty much about a minute per question.
Pete,
Yeah.
can you, I think Lori got kicked off.
Okay.
And she's wanting to get back in.
Yeah, let me get her back in then. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, sorry.
No worries.
To interrupt.
Yeah. Some of these questions you might not necessarily know the answer to, and I'd like you to start maybe tracking, like, does pranayama make me feel more present? Some of you are maybe not used to doing pranayama, and so it might be good for you to track that over the next couple weeks and see if there's certain pranayamas that really help you become more present, or certain poses. Like, I know some of you do a lot of exercise, but might not be doing so much yoga right now, and so these are questions for you to reflect on, not just now, but over the next bunch of weeks we're together. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up in about 2 minutes. Give you an idea where we're at with the timing wise. Well, not the whole thing, but just this portion of this journal questions. Okay, let's finish up this journal questions. Any questions about the journal questions before we move on? Clayton, I'll answer your question in a second. Any questions about the journal questions? Okay. Yeah, number 10 is when I meditate. So does it help? Do you feel more present when you're meditating is the question. These questions are also in your handouts on page 4. So if you really want to spend a little more time kind of fleshing these out, please take some time after the workshop today or this week to kind of answer those questions. And that's actually probably pretty much how I have it structured, just so you know. We'll hit up a lot of stuff during these 2 hours, but everything is pretty much in the handout. So if for any reason you miss something, you need some support, you can refer to the handouts. Okay. The other thing that's not listed here is I'd like you to start reflecting on your diet and how things are working for you this next week. And so we're going to talk more about a food diary, but if you want to start, like we'll talk about that next weekend. But if you like to just start thinking about, oh, when I eat fried foods, for example, I feel more grounded, or when I drink more water, that makes me feel better. Or when I eat potatoes, I feel bloated. Just like that type of thing. Just start to think about how you feel when you eat and what you eat. Okay. All right. Okay, this is a quote. We're going to talk about meditation now. Meditation is not something that you do. Meditation is a movement into the whole question of our living, how we live, how we behave, whether we have fears, anxieties, sorrows, whether we are everlasting pursuing pleasure, and whether we have built images about ourselves and about others. I like this quote. I think meditation in some ways is, I get it, what he's saying, but it is something we do. And so I'm kind of curious, just a show of hands from you guys, who here has meditated before? Just show your hands if you meditated before. Cool. It's funny, when I started doing this workshop, like no one had meditated before. It's just interesting to see how the community evolves and shifts. I'm curious if you consider yourself a pretty good meditator. Raise your hand. Yeah, that's always an interesting thing, right? It's like a pretty good meditator. Wait, what the hell does that mean? It's like I show up and my thoughts come like crazy, but at least I show up, right? The joke is there's really no like expert meditators out there. Of course, there are people that have been meditating for long periods of time, but they still have the same challenges that beginners have when they show up on the mat. So I like to just talk about kind of what meditation is. And there's different ways to actually meditate. But generally speaking, we are just paying attention to what is going on in the present moment. And we're not trying to have a certain quality, although I will tell you there's just briefly, there's 4 different types of meditation. This is more of a Western analysis of meditation. The first one is concentrative meditation. And that's when we focus on, for example, the breath moving on the nostrils. The second one is a receptive meditation. And that's being receptive to outside stimuli, like maybe like a singing bowl, like hearing things and allowing that to be part of the experience. The third thing is something called reflective meditation, reflecting on a certain quality like impermanence, or reflecting on where you store anxiety in the body. That's a reflective. And the fourth thing is something called generative meditation. I don't think this is in your notes, by the way. And if you want notes from me, email me. I'll send this to you. Generative meditation is when we like generate loving kindness or compassion. And I'll take you through some guided meditation throughout this workshop experience. But primarily, the skill that I'd like you to work on building during these 40 days is the concentrative type of meditation. It's focusing in on certain sensations in the body. Breath is part of everyone's experience. No one owns breath. It's everyone has their breath, and it's a perfect place to start in meditation. When we meditate, you want to create, let me actually push this real quick, get the slide going. Meditation helps to achieve a stable and clear mind. You want to have yourself placed into a favorable environment that you can meditate. When you first start meditating, you don't necessarily want to be in a place that, for example, is noisy or, I meditated quite a bit at Spirit Rock, and I was trying to meditate outside, and it was really hot one day, and I was so distracted by just the heat on my body. And so you want to keep yourself out of that kind of experience. You want to go to you want to have like a room where the kids won't interrupt you like every 2 seconds, which might be challenging, or the cat or dog don't come in and disrupt you, although that's kind of fun. But you got 5 minutes. We're going to start off with 10 minutes for this next week, 10 minutes a day of meditating. You can do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. But yeah, I know. Isn't it crazy, Nick? I know. I hear you, buddy. I see that face going, really? Okay. Yeah, right. So make sure you have a space that you've dedicated to do your meditation. Posture is important too as well. And so you can sit just in a comfortable seat. You could do that in your chair if you need to, or on the floor on a mat. I actually prefer to sit in something called Virasana, which is sitting on I don't usually sit on the chair doing this, but it's sitting on my knees on a block, and I sit like this. It's called Virasana for those of you that don't know yoga. And this is how I can sit for like an hour now, like this, on my knees like this. Not to say occasionally I might stand up and move around if my legs start falling asleep. So make sure you find a good posture. My first 10-day sit I did in 2004, I think. And it was Vipassana. It was by Goenka, which is, there's so many great stories. Has anybody done a Vipassana by with Goenka? God, there's so much, there's so much fun, crazy stories about that. Which is kind of funny because you wouldn't think there'd be crazy stories around a meditation, but believe me, I got them for you, okay? So, but I remember when I first started sitting and I tried to sit, he requests you sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can move around. By the end, you're actually sitting for an hour. But my hips were so tight, and I tried to sit in a cross-legged position on a meditation mat, and I actually had to shift away from that and find support. I went to the wall. I used props underneath my knees, and I eventually came to a spot where I actually sat on my knees like I'm sitting in Virasana now. So don't be afraid, especially for the first week or two, to really figure out what works for you, because if you have to move around a lot, you get distracted, and it takes you out of the meditative practice. Cool. Yes. So some of you are asking if you can practice other types of meditation. Totally cool if that's what you want to do. This is just how I meditate. This is more of a Buddhist Zen approach. But if there's something that's working with you for you, please go with it. There are also apps out there that can support you as well, right? And some of you know the apps. If you want to type them into the chat, that'd be great. But Calm is one of them. Insight Timer is another one of them. Headspace. Those three are the ones I've used in the past. Type them into thanks, Kimberly. If you see it in chat, feel free to do that if you want to try them. It might be nice to use some of those apps to get you started, by the way. Okay. In Zen meditation, they tend to keep their eyes open. I prefer to have my eyes closed and go inside, but there might be times where I do keep my eyes open. Like, for example, if I'm falling asleep when I meditate. And in Buddhism, there's a word for that. It's called, I forget the Sanskrit word, shoot. But there's 5 hindrances, and that's the hindrance of sleeping is called sloth or torpor. Sloth, and you're just kind of feeling really super lazy and lethargic. If that's the case, you might want to keep your eyes open. But again, you're gonna find out what works for you. Eyes open or eyes closed. And then breath. And so sometimes some people use pranayama to actually help them connect into before they do the meditation. But the breath should be just a normal breath. You're not really trying to control the breath just yet. You might play with that later, but for when you first start, not controlling the breath. And then you're just working with your thoughts. You're allowing the thoughts to rise and fall, and then you keep coming back to focusing on the breath moving through the nostrils. Okay? So any questions about meditation before I bring you we're gonna do like a quick little 5-minute meditation now. Any questions before we do it? I'll get you out of here just shortly after 6. Okay. Why don't you find a comfortable seat to sit for 5 minutes? And close the eyes if that feels right. And you can sit, you're sitting somewhat upright, right? You don't have to be rigid around this, but there's an awareness about actually how you're sitting. Close the eyes, feel inside. So your heads should be upright, but not rigid. Noticing your posture, but again, don't make it so ramrod straight. Just have it be somewhat aware. And start to bring awareness around the sensations around the nostrils. And again, without controlling the breath, just start to notice, how's the breath feel moving in through the nostrils. It could be any type of sensation, like, warm, cold air going through the nostrils. Some of you will note that your mind keeps wandering. Keep coming back to how the breath feels going through the nostrils. Could be a tickling sensation, could be a tingling sensation. All right, then some of you will be able to do this pretty easily without the mind wandering, but most of you will have a challenge. And sometimes it's helpful to maybe start to label the breath. So it's like inhale and then exhale. You can even start labeling a number, inhaling 1, exhaling 1. Bless you, Mary. Inhaling 2, exhaling 2. primary focus is just the sensation moving in and out of the nostrils. Your mind will wander off, and simply keep bringing it back, and don't get discouraged. Know that you are not alone. All of us have our mind wandering. If it wanders 100 times, you bring it back 101 times. Okay. And open the eyes. Come back to this present moment. And any questions about meditating or that experience? That was 5 minutes. Not long at all, huh? Okay. So again, if there's other ways you want to meditate, feel free to do that. But try to do your best to meditate 10 minutes a day. Give me 10 minutes, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. Any last minute questions about, everyone should have gotten the welcome letter. Did everyone get the welcome letter? Yeah? Okay, I guess so, if you got this. And then I sent you out, you got something when you signed up, but then I also sent you something out that was a welcome letter. There's actually handouts attached in the welcome letter that you can use for reading, okay? Okay, so a couple other things just to hit up. I'd like you to practice yoga 6 times per week. I teach 5 classes a week that are live, and those are donation based. And if you can't afford to do them, just come as my guest then. Just, they're donations, right? If you would like to, if you're not around for my classes, I gave the YouTube channel, I think, on the welcome letter too, right? Did I do that for you guys as well? Did you see that? So you can take, there's 5 classes there. They're hour classes. You take those as well, okay? It can be any type of yoga, by the way. If you're like too busy, you want to get like 15 minutes in of sun salutations just to kind of burn off your energy, that works as well. Or maybe you feel like doing restorative. It can be any type of yoga that works for you. Again, I mentioned that at the beginning of week 2, we're going to pick in something to give up. Please reflect on that, what you want to do. We'll be using our journal every meeting, so please bring that. And yeah, Clayton, did you have a specific question around yoga? And was something you were asking about?
No, I just, you're saying you teach 6 classes a week, but on the mailing list or on the email, it says there's 2 classes on, sorry, Tuesday and Thursday. Oh, wait. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Cool, no worries. My classes tend to be a vinyasa class, and so I know, Clayton, you're working through an injury, or you have that tweakiness on your wrist. Maybe it's not true injury, but maybe it's just tweaky. You can always connect with me to make sure that you're supported either in my class, or I can point you in the direction of someone else's class. From my perspective, you should be able to do my class and modify as you need to support yourself. For example, Clayton, maybe your wrist bug, and maybe plank pose is challenging on the wrist. So maybe you do forearm plank instead. Or maybe when you do upward dog, it tweaks your wrist out because you're putting too much pressure on it. And then so instead you do camel instead of upward dog. Or you do sphinx. There's so many ways we can explore this practice. So if you happen to stumble upon an injury that's not working for you and you need my support, please reach out to me. Okay? I'd love to help you with that. Yoga every day. I suggest 6 times a week. Meditate 10 minutes a day for this next week. Start thinking about the vice you want to give up. Just so you know, I'm giving up alcohol beginning today. I'm going to be clean for the next 40 days. And so maybe you're inspired by that. I don't know. It's up to you. Okay. All right. Any questions before I let you go? Clear as mud?
Pete, I actually had some questions that I put in the chat specific to the meditation.
Take a look then. Go ahead. You want to ask them?
Yeah, is it okay to do the alternate nostril breathing? And I guess my tongue just went to the roof of my mouth when I did the meditation, and my hands just kind of turned upward in terms of like at the wrist.
Yeah.
Is all of that okay?
So pranayama of alternate nostril breathing is a really great way to get you present. My suggestion to you would be to use it as a tool to get you present, maybe the first minute, and then allow yourself to notice the sensation of the nostrils without controlling the breath, because there's more subtle sensations that I'd like you to start getting connected to. They'll cultivate more pronounced sensations. And the subtleness is really important as we evolve in our meditation to explore more and more. Yeah. Does that make sense, Shauna? Okay. Pranayama is good, but use it as more of a tool to get yourself to that point, and then work your way as meditation. And what was the other question, Shauna?
Just in terms of like the tongue and the hand placement during meditation, is there any specific recommended?
So the tongue action going toward the roof of the mouth is actually a way for you to bring awareness around what's going on. And it's awesome that you noticed that, Shauna, by the way. But I would play with kind of like what helps you feel more grounded. I know when I'm feeling anxious, my tongue does weird things. My neck and jaw do weird things. And so it might intentionally you might need to kind of like open your mouth a little bit and kind of do it from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, hands on lap, hands cupped. I actually prefer to have my hands like this sitting on my lap, and I have them crossed, and I have my fingers pointing down. That helps keep me present and grounded. So there's lots of different ways. Some people like to use mudras to help keep them present, and the intention around that too as well. So they can do like certain mudras will help keep them more present, and they have different meanings and different energetic flows. I don't know much about those. That might not be my, but you know, you can play with them. Does that help, Shauna? Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Okay. I'm available. You know, just it's sometimes easier just to like text me and do a quick phone call with me. So why don't you take down my phone number as long as you promise not to abuse it. Deal. 415. I think it's funny because I have lots of your phone numbers from knowing you for so long. 415-290-0043. 415-290-0043. And generally speaking, I'm available from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. when Quinn naps. That's usually a good time to catch me. Okay?
You got cut out. What did you say, 1 p.m. to what?
Yeah, what was the time?
1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is when Quinn naps. That's usually the best time to catch me.
Okay.
Cool. We good? Looking forward to this. I will not be having a glass of wine with my dinner tonight. Place your hands on your heart. Close the eyes and just take a moment here and just connect into some gratitude for this journey we're being together. For yourself showing up, but also for the people that are showing up here to support you on your path, unknowingly or knowingly, in so many different ways, right? Here we are. We're all on this journey together. All right. Hands in prayer. Good. Bowing forward with love and with gratitude. Namaste.
Namaste.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Love you. Enjoy your meal with your family. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Let me know if there's any comments or questions about the meeting too, okay? Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Mary.
Bye.